Hello, my name is Allison Dodge and my mentor is Dr. James Lyle, and my proposal will be over political correctness's influence on the theater. So, my research question, is political correctness as a social norm affecting what is being written and performed on Broadway? So why is this important? It is beneficial for theater artists to understand out of what environment we produce work. How does growing up in a politically correct society influence what's being written? How do we change our works to fit within our society as it changes? There is a gap in the literature. Political correctness as a social norm and how it affects various media has been written about. How it influences theater has not been heavily studied, and no one has studied specific works to identify political correctness's influence. So, do I expect that political correctness is influencing theater? Yes, I do. Why? Well, for one, the literature heavily suggests that PC does have an effect on media, and since theater is a form of media, I expect to see a change. In a much broader sense, it's because of the effect of social norms on society. A social norm, for those who don't know, is essentially just unspoken rules in society that people follow in order to seem socially acceptable. From literature, we know that societal norms have a large influence on culture, and we also know that political correctness is a social norm. So as that social norm takes hold, we should see a change in art to reflect that fact. I expect to see a few different things. Number one, I expect to see a decrease in politically incorrect language over time. Number two, I expect to see more diversity on Broadway, both in casts and in playwrights. And number three, I expect to see a relationship between the time a work was produced and the amount of politically correct language it has. For my research, I will be conducting a qualitative thematic analysis. It will be an emergent inductive design, which means I will code as I go rather than making up the codes beforehand. I will be looking at material from between 1930 and 2018. I chose this date range because most scholars agree that by 1990, political correctness was being recognized as a social norm. I wanted to give a large enough date range that if that is true, we should be able to see a pattern over time. I will begin by doing a script analysis for all of the shows and their revivals. This script analysis is one used by Missouri Southern's theater department and is documented in the book backwards and forwards. I have modified it slightly for the purpose of my research. Within that, I will do a character analysis. However, I will not do it for every character. I will only be doing a character analysis for any minority characters. This will include women, people of color, and LGBTQ+ people. I chose to do this in order to save time and also because I believe most of the change we will see will be within these characters. I will then code any rewrites shows have undergone, as well as any politically incorrect language within the shows. I will also code all of the minority characters, including how they change if they do. After doing this, I will find all playwrights from 1930 to 2018 who won the Tony for Best Play to chart their race and their gender to see if there is any difference in what is being produced over time. The 6 shows I chose for many reasons. All of these shows were popular when they were first produced. Each show has had a run on Broadway for 100 performances or more. Each show has a minority character in it that moves the plot along. Not all the shows have a main character who is a minority, but all have a minority character who advances the plot in some way. And all the shows, excluding the Book of Mormon, have had at least one revival. The Book of Mormon has not had a revival because since its start in 2011, it has never stopped running. I picked 2 musicals and 1 play before and after 1990. I chose to analyze more musicals than plays because they tend to be revived more often, they tend to be rewritten more often, and they tend to have more material. Here is my timeline. I plan to be finished with my research by May of 2020.